The sword will continue to gain strength if bathed in sacred power. The stronger that power, the more powerful the sword becomes. The potential of this fabled blade may well be limitless.
A sword that grows ever stronger. The Master Sword.
Hey guys, what's going on? Chappy Lived All here, and today I am here to showcase my Master Sword from The Legend of Zelda, particularly the one from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. First off, once again, sorry for the lack of videos as of late. I've been finishing up my sophomore year at college, which now I'm actually done with, and I have a couple months off, so now I can go back to making projects and making videos. I have a whole list of projects I want to get done this summer, so hopefully I'll be able to get all of them done. And the Master Sword was one of them. So the sword has two different parts. It has the scabbard and it has the blade itself. Y'all are probably curious about the blade, so let's talk about that first. Also, thank goodness I don't need 13 hearts to be able to pull this out. So let's take a closer look at it first. So here we have the hilt with the pommel on it and some grip straps on here. Then we have the end of the hilt with the wings, which were definitely a challenge to try to freehand. And then the crystal design as well, with a little bit that goes into the blade. The kind of cap part, I'm not sure what it's called. And then the rest of the blade itself. And it is the same on both sides, and both sides also have the little Triforce symbol on it as well. So let's talk about a little bit of this. First up, the grip straps. These are strips of cardboard that I pulled from a Lego box that I was holding on to for another project, and I just cut small strips that hopefully were long enough for the handle, and then spray painted them a gloss green. Now, I have been holding it a lot since I spray painted it, so it's a loss of its glossiness, which is okay because it doesn't look glossy anyway. But the strips were actually fairly long enough to wrap around the hilt the way I wanted to. They didn't come out great, but they came out good enough for the design of the blade. And I tried to replicate the same pattern from the games, so there's the kind of cross braid design that goes around, and again, since they weren't totally long enough, I had to kind of alter it a little bit. Now for the wings. Now this is one I kind of had to eyeball the template from the previous content creator that I looked at. I'll have his channel linked. I'll have his channel right down here and then linked down in the description for y'all to check out. So he cut out these pieces that were the wings, and how they worked is you would draw the piece itself and then kind of crease it in the center to give it that bendability to turn into the wing that we see right here. And that was really hard because I didn't specifically use the template, I used the design of it, and then it was a matter of trying to measure it up with the rest of the hilts and also with the other wing bits. The crystal was really fun to design. I originally wanted to have this 3D printed because I thought that's how I could get the best kind of details, but I thought it would be fun to just kind of at least experiment with cutting out smaller and smaller diamond pieces to get this diamond pearl shape, and I'm personally much more of a fan of this one, I think. And then it's the same cardboard is used for the design bits here and on the end as well, which I really like. The gold spray paint came out really well. And it's the same on both sides. And then the Triforce symbol is also some thin cardboard. Unfortunately, it's not great as holding together, as you can probably see here. And when I'm pulling it out and putting it in the scabbard, and it has a tendency to kind of peel off, I want to try to fix that, but it's good for now. And then we have the blade, which is probably my favorite part of the whole sword, solely because of the color. So the color that I used, for anyone who may be curious and is planning on making their own Master Saber, is spray paint satin French blue. This one turned out really, really well, and I was torn on this and a couple other ones because I wanted to go for a metallic look, but I also wanted to go for that kind of light blue silver finish from the games. And this color came out really, really well, and I think fits the Master Sword very perfectly. And then the tip was a hard part to do because there was the problem of cutting space in between all the fins and then getting them to curve. And so that one I did actually have to print out part of the template from the video I watched to kind of get this shape, but definitely came out really well. So let's talk about the whole construction of the blade. So this whole thing is all one dowel with a bunch of cardboard on it. You remember those dowels that I bought from my Hawkeye bow when I was originally planning on having it shoot? Well, those weren't the only dowels I got. I also got 2 of these long dowels because in my mind I was already planning on making the Master Sword. And I didn't know how many that I would need, so I bought 2. Turns out one was perfectly long enough for what I was looking for. But this was the dowel that I used, and basically I made the hilt around kind of the bottom part, and the rest of the part I made the blade. And so if you look at the sword, around here is where the end of it is, and around here is where the blade went to. And then it was just a matter of gluing both sides of the blade on top of the dowel, on top of each side of the dowel, and then gluing all the sides together. And that part was also challenging because on each side of the blade I had to cut little indents and then have them be able to turn in to get the sharp look that the sword has. And that one was definitely tricky, especially with up here. And so the blade and the hilt are 2 separate cardboard pieces that are glued together. So the blades were its own separate pieces that I wanted to go ahead and spray paint ahead of time, so that way it would be less trouble of covering off the rest of the sword. And then the hilt is all one piece that I spray painted navy blue, so that way I would have less trouble spray painting or covering this up from spray paint. So figuring out how this went into a cardboard design was really, really fun. Challenging, but really fun. Now let's talk about the scabbard. So the scabbard is a little bit the same principle that I went for the sword itself. So I wanted to go for a shape that was larger than the blade and also thicker than the blade, so that way it can easily slide in and slide out without getting caught in anything. So that was what I went through. That was when I went for the navy blue parts. And then all the gold parts you see are details that are glued on top of the base of the scabbard. And designing these and putting these on and spray painting these were all really, really fun. Probably my favorite part of the whole project, to be honest. I'll explain the belt in a minute. So then you have the Triforce symbol on here, and you have the main kind of point detail bit, and then the end kind of brace, and then the top brace. And then, I don't know if you can see, but in here, yeah, you definitely can't see. In here, towards the bottom of the scabbard, are 2 little cardboard plates that I had so that the sword could line up more with the center, and so that way it's not kind of rattling around the whole thing. So it keeps it mostly stable in here. So the details are almost the same for both sides. This main part is the one that you're going to see when you're wearing it on your back. But I made some room here for the strap. Now the strap is for wearing it on your back, and this whole thing is glued and super glued onto the scabbard. And so I had to make room for the strap, so part of the spike is missing, and then the Triforce is on the side, because I think having those would just get in the way of having the strap kind of secure on the back, or would pull the other pieces off. So how I would wear it is I would put the strap over my head onto my right shoulder so that the bottom part of the strap goes across the left part of my waist. And the idea is that it would hopefully look something like this when you're wearing it, so that the scabbard goes diagonally along my back and still kind of sticks out a little here like this. And then for the sword, unfortunately, either how I tightened it or just how long the sword actually is, you can't actually bring it over and put it into the scabbard. I wish I could, because that is something I've wanted to do with a sword for a while. Nevertheless, you're just going to have to grab it by the blade and then kind of guess where the scabbard is, put it in, and then put it in securely like that. So it'll look something like this when you're wearing it. Which honestly, I think just still looks really cool. And then when you want to pull it out, you can pull it out about yay far with how I hold it, and then you'll just need to grab the rest of the blade to pull it out, and then use as you will. Also, for any cosplayers who are wondering, this belt is straight from Miracle Hill. So, very handy and very affordable. And then when you're finished using the Master Sword, you can just go ahead and put it in through here. And I try to make these parts line up with the crystal as much as I could, kind of like the video games. Unfortunately, with how I glued it, it didn't turn out that way, because as soon as I set it down, it like set. So I couldn't get it for that, but still looks really cool and matches up with the rest of the wings. So definitely a very fun project to design. Probably my favorite one that I made detail-wise, especially with all the bits on the sword. So that is it for this showcase today. I hope you guys did go to enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get notified of future videos, and share this video to someone who you think might be interested in how I made a cardboard Master Sword. If you want to see more updates, be sure to go to Chapsmith Corrugations for my Instagram updates, so that you'll be able to see all the updates for the projects and everything. But until next time, I'm Chappy Livedall, and I'll see you guys in the next video.